as we continue our journey with Nathan Zelinsky, we want to talk about your go-to fall presentation. What's going to be your first, when you go up to a spot, what's your first presentation?
Dude, this is it. This is where it gets juicy, right? This is what everybody wants to know. Just tell me what to use at the end of the video series. So I get it. When it comes to these fall fish, I basically have two presentations for the most part. But to start off, my main kicker, right? None of us want to go out all night or low light. We want to show up there at midday when the sun's out and catch fish. So when the bulk of the anglers are out fishing that kind of daytime type activity, it's all about reaction baits. Yeah. So a big walleye, a 30-inch or a 32-incher, right? They don't get that size but by being dumb. So anytime that you're gonna activate on the food source, we just talked about that. So I'm gonna go where the food's at. But if I fished a normal minnow, a live bait, anything like with that, I blend in. I become 1 in a million. The odds that walleye's gonna take mine over something else is not good. So you have to trigger them. You have to get them to react. A big 30-inch walleye is flat out a predator. They are there to hunt and catch and kill food. So the reaction baits are gonna be it, right? So you can take various sizes, various colors, but it's all about reaction. So all of your glide baits, right? The whole world is full of them. Every manufacturer makes a glide bait. You have all of your reaction baits, like lipless cranks. You have, blade baits. The list goes on, but really when it comes to reaction baits, it's going to be your glides. It's going to be your rattly, blade baitish style bait. And they all really work. So your goal, put it near that fish. When that fish is close to that fish, you're going to have an aggressive jig stroke, basically taking it away from the fish, but then dropping it back into the strike zone. So the big concept here is lots and lots of action, flash, vibration, noise, but dropping it back into the strike zone. That's where a lot of anglers make a mistake. They get too aggressive and they take it away. If you make a fish work too much, they're going to be like, you know what, it's not worth it. So it is about creating a lot of action. You want to make sure you just hit all of their sense with that vibration, that flash, everything, but then you're dropping it back in the strike zone. So if that fish is there, you're getting crazy, but you're always bringing it back to them. And when you start to create reaction and then cater to the fish, you're going to catch a lot of fish. So that's probably the biggest thing. What I tend to look for is I take my natural forage, right? So a minnow base, I say, whatever the case may be, whatever my natural forage is, I go a little bit bigger. So that's one trick for you. So right to where if I, like right now, where we're shooting this podcast from, my bait fish right now as we speak is about 2 3/4 inches, maybe 3 on a really big one, right? Yeah. So the natural food that they're eating, they're just gorging on 3-inch minnows, little shad. Yeah. So when I go fish a bait, I'm fishing a 3.5. Right? So I want to be slightly bigger than the norm, and that's going to help me catch them. I also go slightly heavier. So, right, everybody looks at it and they're like, oh, I can really control a half-ounce bait. If a half-ounce bait's working, to me, a 3/4 or 1 ounce, I can really get with it, right? I can rip that bait and then get right back to that strike zone, and I'm going to catch that fish. So reaction is the key, even, right, to where in spring we fish a lot of paddle tails, a lot of little swim baits. Yeah. Still works in the fall, but instead of fishing a 2.5 or 3-inch that I do in the spring, I now go to a 5-inch. Instead of fishing a 1/4 ounce or 3/8, now I go to 3/4. Yeah. So all of a sudden I can take the same style bait I fish in the spring, but this bait I can work like I can rip that bait, take it away from them, drop it back down. I'm slightly bigger than the natural forage, but that weight gives me reaction. Reaction catches fish in the fall. And I can do this suspended, I can do it on bottom, so any of the fish we're talking about, I can throw a reaction bait for and I can catch them. So if you're not fishing reaction baits, that's probably why you're not catching 30-inch walleyes, right? So literally, and we always say fall, but August, from August until ice, or August all the way through winter if you don't have ice, depending where you're listening is from, reaction baits are key.
It's little adjustments like that that make difference. Just doing that, changing 1/2 inch, 1/4 ounce of a pound, can make that much of a difference, especially when we're talking about big fish. And that's why we get the juice from you.
Now, when you say little things, the thing I have to finish this with, we talk about reaction baits, right? So I take these baits. I can't take them out of the package, and I'm like getting all fouled up, and I'm stuck, and I'm like, but yet when you're ripping that bait, these walleyes smoke it, where you're like, that was the hardest hit ever. I get the best hook set, right? And I lose these fish instantly. A big walleye will spit a reaction bait faster than any other technique known to man, right? I don't understand. There's hooks all over these baits, but yet a walleye spits them like nobody's business, right? I always make sure that I have my sharp hooks. But, right, do I preach it as much as I should? Probably not. Other times of the year, I'm not the guy that's going to be like, make sure you switch your hooks. But in the fall,
Yeah.
you have got to make sure that you have the stickiest, sharpest, nastiest hook you could ever have. So on all of my reaction baits in the fall, I'm switching up to those chokars. I have to make sure that if that fish breathes on this bait, I get full penetration and I get that fish hook. So on top of the little tips of going slightly bigger, working it more aggressive, but bringing it back in the strike zone, make sure that when you finally get that bite, you make the most of it and you get that fish in boat side.
I mean, that goes another way too, because we offer a wide gap treble. I mean, do you switch between round bends and wide gaps?
I do. I kind of go back and forth. And honestly, everybody you watch on these podcasts has a reason for it. I always start off with a normal round bend.
Yeah.
And if I get them stuck and then they're coming unpinned, I go with the wide. So I tend to do a better landing ratio with the wide gap, but sometimes I have a better initial hookup on the round bend. So I start with round bend. I see what my ratio is, but I tell you what, I lose one of those big fish, the wide gaps come on. But of all the techniques, this is the one where I find myself changing out hooks more often, just for the fact that those fish, how they do it, I don't know. But I tell you what, they smoke it and they spit it out so fast. And I think it's just because there's so much action going on with your reactionary technique.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's crazy too when you talk about the subtle differences, again, how much of a difference that makes and the ability to apply it. I mean, this is for you guys. This is for you guys to learn and to catch bigger and better fish with the people that do it every day.